This old deck is now better than ever. Roll the intro. What is going on, everybody? Hitmonchanting here, back again with another Pokemon trading card game, online deck tech. Today I wanted to cover Arceus Duraludon, or as it is more famously known, Arcdon. I think this deck is pretty underrated right now, and it's seeing a little bit of a resurgence, popping up in a few tournaments here and there, and I think it has the capability to do really well in our current metagame. So if you don't know what Arcdon is, I'm gonna give you the quick rundown here. The main attacker is Duraludon VMAX. It has that skyscraper ability so that Pokemon with special energy attached cannot damage it. So double turbos can't hit into it, fusion strike energies can't hit into it, wash energies can't hit into it, speed lightning energies, all those kinds of special energies cannot hit into Duraludon VMAX. So that kind of nullifies Regis. It really hurts Mew. Arceus decks can have a big struggle with this deck, and even decks like Kyurem VMAX right now and Palkia that are playing wash energy can have a little bit of an issue with Duraludon if they don't really see the Duraludon coming. So that is the main premise of this deck. And Gmax Pulverization is a very, very strong attack as well. Flat 220 damage, and it's not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so it is a shred attack. It can go through things like Gudra V-Star's Rolling Iron attack, can go through Miltank's Miracle Body ability, can go through all of those effects that stop you from doing damage because you're a VMAX, because you're a V Pokemon or whatever, and just go right through them and slap 220 damage easily. Now, the whole name of the game here is kind of stalling out your opponent until you can take those big one-hit KOs, and we're going to use that by using Karen's Conviction. Karen's Conviction reads, during this turn, your single strikes Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon for each prize card your opponent has taken. So you're kind of trying to slow your opponent down enough where you can two-shot them. They can't even take one shot onto the Duraludon. And then later in the game, you come in with the Karen's Conviction after they've taken a couple prizes, and then that makes that 220 damage go all the way up to 280 or 300 or whatever, and then you just take a big KO on your opponents. And now we power up Duraludon by using Arceus VSTAR. We have a 4-2 line in here, and it also has that Star Breath ability, so we can pick out any two cards of our deck when we need them and just play them right away, keep them in our hand, whatever. So Arceus VSTAR is really a natural partner for Duraludon. Now we're running a 2-3 Duraludon, and that might seem a little bit strange, but this is kind of why. First off, you don't want to be starting with your Duraludon in the active. You want to be starting with your Arceus, right? And second off, it allows us to discard a Duraludon and then use Single Strike Mustard to play this card when it's the last card in your hand, and then you can put a Single Strike Pokemon from the discard pile onto the bench and then draw 5 cards. Or sorry, you can search your deck for Single Strike Pokemon and then put it onto the bench and then draw 5 cards. So you can do that and get a Duraludon out if Mustard is the last card in your hand, which is really, really powerful. It's just a free, free search. Here, take this Duraludon onto your bench. Here you go. Have fun. And for the rest of the deck, it is pretty straightforward. We do want to be putting our opponents into a 2-3-3 prize trade. You want to start with an Arceus VSTAR, and then by that time have 2 Duraludon VMAXs powered up. We have 3 Hyper Potions, so we can heal our Duraludon, and it's good especially with double turbo, because we can attach a double turbo and heal and get that right off there. We've got an Ordinary Rod, Pal Pad, 1 Pokégear. Everything else is pretty straightforward in this deck. I do like the 4 Trekking Shoes in here because you can more easily draw through your deck. We have 4 Ultra Ball and 4 Tower of Darkness. This is the last card that might raise a couple of eyebrows, but I am trying out this new card. Not new card, but I'm trying out this card in Duraludon as opposed to the Crystal Caves, and I'm really liking it so far because it allows you to discard some supporters you might not need. It allows you to discard more stadiums that you might not need and draw some more cards, because I feel like Arceus Duraludon really struggles when it gets a dead hand and you dead draw, and this combined with the Trekking Shoes, combined with that extra Duraludon VMAX that you won't need, it really, really helps you in drawing through your dead hands. So I really like the Tower of Darkness in here for sure. I think it's a really important inclusion, even though Crystal Cave exists. Crystal Cave is also good. We play 1 Avery, 3 Boss. I already went over Karen's, played 2 Marty, 3 Research, and then 2 Big Charm. No Choice Belt in this list because the difference between 220 and 250 isn't exactly a huge one, so I think the extra 30 HP that you get is a lot more useful than doing that extra damage, especially because you can't even hit that 280 number. Like if we played some single strike energies or something or whatever, then maybe, but I believe that the Gmax pulverization on its own is good enough. And we play those 3 bosses so we can target down base V Pokemon and just boss, knockout, boss, knockout, boss, knockout, win the game. 4 double turbo, 3 fighting, 6 metal. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's see if we can hop into some games and get some dubs with the Dawn. Calling the coin flip here, we're going to go ahead and say Tails never fails. Unfortunately, it did fail us, but my opponent's going to get to go first. With Arcdon, you really do want to be going first, but going second with this hand isn't even that bad because we can find a Duraludon and actually power it up right away if we play our cards right. My opponent's starting with a Greninja and getting a Battle VIP pass off, so this is going to be a Palkia deck. Arcdon can actually do very well against Palkia because Palkia relies on bench, and if you don't have a bench, you can just, boom, you know, play your Arcdon down. You have like 2 Pokemon, 3 Pokemon max in play, and then they can't one-shot you while you're like putting them dangerously close to getting one-hit KO'd. So that is the name of the game here with this deck. So we have that Ultra Ball and Double Turbo. Just maybe, depending on our draw, we'll be able to find that Single Strike Mustard and maybe get a Duraludon VMAX into play. So we get a Tower of Darkness here. We can play that down, and we'll get rid of it and draw some more cards. Quick Ball, Research is good. We know that Double Turbo's going here. I want to save the Avery. I think I'm going to Quick Ball away this Metal Energy. Just take a peek in our deck. We have 1 Duraludon, so that can't get KO'd. And we'll just take a peek. We do have Mustard. We got enough energy to go ahead and play this hand. I don't want to use any of these supporters. I want to hold this because this Avery is going to be very important down the line. So we're just going to Trinity Charge here and get our Duraludon powered up. 1 fighting, 2 metal. Easy peasy. Like with a hand like this, going second isn't so bad because you can actually guarantee an attack next turn, whether it's from Arceus or if Arceus gets knocked out, it's then from Duraludon because we have that Ultra Ball in hand. But I want to keep that Avery because if they want to do big damage, they got to lay a bench down, and if they don't discard their Pokemon, or well, they'll have to discard their Pokemon with Avery, and then they will be in a bit of a pickle. So I think that is a really important card to have right now. I know a couple of lists earlier were playing a lot more Avery, which can still be good right now, especially with those pesky Lost Zone decks running around and trying to maneuver their way around and make your, what's it called, and have the perfect solution to all of your Pokemon's weaknesses. But sometimes that's just not possible with the power of the Arcdon. So Palkia VSTAR coming out over here. A Drizzile getting brought out from the deck with Evolution Incense. My opponent going to search for something, but I don't know what they're going to search for. And now the other good thing about Duraludon V is before rotation happens, we can use this Champion's Path one, which has the Hard Coat ability, which lets it take 30 less damage. So it actually has 250 HP when it's just sitting on the bench right there, which is really, really strong. You have a Big Charm on it. It's 280 HP. So, you know, pretty strong, what's it called? That is a pretty strong base V Pokemon if you happen to find all those pieces. Duraludon V on its own can actually be pretty powerful, I will say. Not a lot of people play it for the V, but the V is actually a pretty strong card, not even considering the VMAX. So my opponent going to rebench, and they're actually going to go into this Palkia V, which is a bit interesting. I'm not sure why they decided to go into that, but we'll see what my opponent wants to do. Oh, they're going to Star Portal and maybe get an attack off with this Palkia, maybe getting 3 energy and going for the Hydro Break. Interesting play, I will say. They're going to go for the Hydro Break and KO our Arceus, which would be tough for us if we didn't have the hand that we did, because now we can literally just Ultra Ball, Duraludon VMAX, and then just KO this Palkia and wreck mayhem. So I think what I want to do here is I'm going to Ultra Ball, and I'm going to grab myself Duraludon VMAX, play the fella down, and then I'm going to Avery. And we're going to have to force them to get rid of 1 Pokemon on their bench. And now what are they going to do? Are they going to get rid of a Greninja or a Drizzile? Because one gets them draw, one gets them cards. Or they're going to get rid of their second attack, and they get rid of that Drizzile which is unfortunate for them. We get to draw more cards here. Play this Trekking Shoes to see what we're working with. I don't want this Ultra Ball, but this Big Charm is absolutely what I want. Now, we can play this Arceus down to have access to Starbirth next turn. And with Starbirth next turn, we can get another Duraludon VMAX down. So that's something that we might do. I think we'll play that down. Usually you don't want to play another Arceus down. However, I think that's the right play in this scenario because we can G-Max Pulverization. Take this Palkia out, finding our other Duraludon and a Fighting Energy. So I really do just want to have that access to Starbirth, especially with my opponent not having a huge bench right now or a huge setup. They already used Star Portal, so they got to find another energy in order to attack with their Palkia. If they can't, then they really went all in on that Arceus. They do have that energy in hand, okay. But Subspace Swell is only going to be doing, what, like 140 damage, which is like nothing to Duraludon VMAX. Like, yeah, literally nothing. That's just a tickle, right? And then we can find some double turbos and we can find some hyper potions and get rid of basically all of that because we only have discarded one and one of each. That's why I like to put down this other Arceus because we can just throw down a Starbirth and then boom, right? It's our time to shine. My opponent going to Ultra Ball away some more cards here. Getting rid of a Cross Switcher, which I didn't realize before, but that's pretty good for us because Cross Switcher is not really our friend in this matchup, I will say. But getting a Drizzile V, not Drizzile V, just a normal Drizzile down. I'm losing my mind. Getting a Drizzile into play, and they're going to find an Iridas to hopefully find more Pokemon and do more damage to our Duraludon, which is going to be the name of the game here. However, we have access to Arceus here. We can just Starbirth, and then boom. You know, get everything we need to get. Getting a Palkia and a level ball, so they're going to have that full bench there, allowing them to do an extra 100 damage. It's going to be about 180 damage coming through from this Palkia, but they don't really have a board, which is a very interesting thing to think about, because they can Subspace Swell us all they want. 180 damage, that's fine, but they don't have an established board. They just have 2 cards in hand and a bunch of Pokemon on their bench. You don't need Manaphy in this matchup. So we'll have to see what we can do here. I actually believe that we're going to play this Arceus down. We can Starbirth here. And I think maybe, I don't know, what did we go for? Did we go for the boss KO on this Palkia on the bench? Well, we're going to Starbirth for sure. Or do we just Hyper Potion? I think we just Hyper Potion, play it safe with this deck because we have time on our side. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to Hyper Potion, play it safe, get rid of this double turbo, just so we can have an extra survivability with this Duraludon. Now, I don't know if I want to play this guy down just to be safe, and then we're going to research this hand away. Maybe just, we're going to try and find a boss for next turn. There's a Big Charm, which is really, really good. And Single Strike Mustard being in here is kind of good as well. We can maybe play it down so we can use Mustard, but I think I'll attach the Big Charm Duraludon, and we'll get rid of this Arceus VSTAR because we don't need this anymore. We'll just kind of thin our deck down a little bit, get rid of this Duraludon, and there's some of our bosses, so that's pretty good. And now I think we're going to G-Max Pulverization this Palkia. See, this is a very interesting matchup. I didn't need to bench this Duraludon, but I kind of just wanted to anyway, just so we have a backup in case we need to power up another one, because they're going to boss up that Arceus now and Subspace Swell. They're not going to knock it out, which is unfortunate for them because we have the retreat in hand, and we have boss as well, which we don't really need, but we're going to just retreat this Arceus into a Duraludon. And now we're kind of in a really good spot. Just going to G-Max Pulverization. Goodbye, Palkia. And like I said, they don't really have a board. Despite having benched Pokemon, they don't have a board state. They just have a bunch of Pokemon on their bench. That's a very important distinction to make. No V-Star power. So I think playing it the way that I played it is pretty proper here, I will say. Because, okay, they can put down Path to the Peak now, that's fine. Use their Starbirth, and they're just going to concede. They don't really have anything to do. We could literally just double boss and win the game, or we can just boss that, like, double hit that Palkia and win. So that's really the power of Arceus Duraludon coming through and taking the dub against Palkia, which is the best deck in format. Coin flip here. I'm gonna go ahead and say Tails never fails, and I don't think Tails will fail me today. It won, even though we got heads, we won, so Tails has not failed me in my heart. We're gonna absolutely go first, and this is a pretty solid going first hand, I will say. Very, very solid going first hand, because we can attach this double turbo, and we can hopefully get a Trinity Nova off next turn. Oh, there's the Arceus VSTAR, so we're gonna actually quick ball away a research. Grab ourselves a Dawn. We have 2 in deck as well, so that's good. 2 V-Stars. We can attach this and start using our shoes to find some cards. Do I want to get an Ultra Ball? Yeah, let's grab the Ultra Ball so we can get the guaranteed VMAX. And let's grab another shoes. That's 3 trekking shoes already this game. We don't want that Ultra Ball. Switch is also good. And we're just going to wait now. This is an ideal first turn setup. Ideal first turn setup because now we have the Arceus in our hand. We have the Dawn in our hand, the Duraludon. We can actually Starburst for something like an energy plus a boss's orders. And then boom, boss something up and KO it that my opponent might be setting up on the bench. And then we can switch into Duraludon VMAX and then boom, start KOing something. We're playing against Palkia again. So what is the lesson of the day? Duraludon VMAX, very, very strong. So against this Palkia matchup here, it would be great if Palkia had 210 HP, because then we could have killed it if we had a VIP in the deck. Oh, but it's Palkia Kyurem. Oh, so Palkia Kyurem, interesting matchup. I talked about it in the beginning. Because we went first, they obviously probably already see this this hand here, or like what they're playing against. So they're not going to play that wash energy, but if they did, we could have put them in a little bit of a predicament. But here, I'm thinking we boss up that Kyurem and we hit into it. So either way, we can take a KO on it the next turn. It looks like that might be it for my opponent, unless they're debating. Oh, they're going to go find another Pokemon. Okay, maybe an Oranguru. Putting a Lumineon in the discard, pretty smart, I will say, because, you know, Lumineon can just get one shot by Duraludon and it's free 2 prizes in this matchup. So, my opponent going to get that Oranguru. And the faster we can tackle the Kyurem problem, the better, because Palkia is not really going to be doing too much in this matchup, other than being support for my opponent's Kyurem. So, I just want to wait and see. They're going to play a Training Court down, which can actually be very helpful for us getting our fighting energies back, not having to rely on Rod here. But it does not look like we're actually going to get Marnie or anything, because it would suck if we did. They're going to play down to Crobat, so maybe they will try and find a Marnie or something with this Crobat V. Crobat, though, is a good target for our Arceus, or not for Arceus, for our Duraludon. We can actually target the Crobat with our Arceus as well. I think that's what we're going to do, because we can take those 2 prizes, just easy peasy, and power up Duraludon. Or do we go into the Kyurem and hit into the Kyurem? That is the question of the day here. I think that might be what we're supposed to do. I think we should. It's better to just hit into that Kyurem and get it nice and softened up. Unless they play something like a Cheryl, they very well might. Oh, we just get top deck the Duraludon anyway. Okay, you know what? I'm content with that. But now, it's important, we just gotta, you know, consider our options here. My opponent's got 1 energy in the discard. They played 2 Capacious Buckets so far. So, they've got enough energy to discard and use V-Star, the Star Portal. And now, I think I want to just go for the Crobat, though. I think that is what I want to do. And we'll just grab a Metal Energy. Goodbye, Crobat. I think it is a good time to target you down and use Trinity Nova. Take that KO. And then we can power up our Duraludon VMAX. Easy peasy. So this is like our pretty much ideal board state here. This is it. Like, this is exactly what we want. Now, the only challenging thing here is, what does my opponent have in their hand? Do they have a Kyurem VMAX? Do they have a bunch of water energy to discard? Do they have those ways to discard? Do they have that Palkia VSTAR? They have the VMAX. If they brought it up into the active, they 100% had it. Playing another Kyurem V down. There's that Palkia. They have 1 energy in the discard. Are they going to have an Ultra Ball and 2 energy to put more in the discard? They can take out their my Arceus all they want, because that'll leave their energy pretty... what's it called? Pretty thinly spread if they use Palkia and, you know, if they use all of their resources to knock out my Arceus. But next turn, depending on what we draw, we might actually be able to use Single Strike Mustard because it searches from the deck. So we can like Ultra Ball 2 cards away, switch it to something. It really depends on the card that we draw here. Because that's our ideal scenario. We want to go for the 2-3-3 prize trade, and we can actually start getting that set up. Depending on what our next draw is with the use of Single Strike Mustard. Another important thing to note here, some decks play Cross Switcher. This one doesn't seem to be playing it because they would have searched for the Cross Switcher there in my opinion. So they can actually knock out our Arceus here without using the V-STAR power, but the question is, do they want to? Do they want to risk it? 1 energy in the discard. I don't know if they're going to knock out our Arceus. I don't think they're going to opt to. It does 270 damage, if I'm not mistaken here. That's right. But they have the Zigzagoon on the bench. That's the concerning part. Now we get a Quick Ball, so we're going to try and get another Duraludon down. But let's see how we should do this. We're going to Ultra Ball away 2 cards. Grab something. Or no, we can Ultra Ball away 2 cards, 1 and 2, Quick Ball away the Duraludon, right? We Ultra Ball these 2, Quick Ball away the Duraludon, and then we can Single Strike Mustard. And just make sure we have that Duraludon in the deck. And we Quick Ball this away. Get nothing. Single Strike Mustard, grab Duraludon VMAX onto the bench, drawing 5 cards. And that Kyurem is also really good to have right now. Having this double turbo in our possession too is good. I think we'll attach this to our Duraludon here, and then Trinity Nova to power it up. So I believe I know what my opponent is gonna work towards right now. They're gonna Zigzagoon our Arceus here, and then try and take a KO on one of our Duraludon. I think that's their play right now. If they have that scoop up net in their hand. Pretty smart actually, but if they don't have it, then that'll be an issue. Oh, they're actually going to get... Okay. They're going to get rid of the Zigzagoon. Interesting. Maybe they're going to go up to go power up Greninja and try and KO it that way. Interesting. I don't know now what they're going to do. They're going to go for a Glaciated World and attach that energy to maybe their benched Kyurem or their active one. Oh, they're going to put it on Palkia. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have a boss right now. That would be nice. We could just boss that Kyurem up and take another KO. And then, which basically just means we need boss for game after. Which is the good part about playing Arcdon. But I'm a little confused why my opponent just didn't try and find a scoop up net for the Goon. Unless they weren't playing it, but in that case, why are you playing Goon? Oh, they're gonna Star Portal here. They don't have the other energy attachment from hand. Oh, interesting. Which is pretty good for us, I will say, because they can take 2 prizes. And, oh man, I don't think we can KO with Kyurem, can we? No, it's only 20 more. It's not 30 more. We can't KO with Kyurem just yet. My opponent gonna power up their other Kyurem VMAX here and get that ready from the bench. Now, it would be really awesome if we could utilize Kyurem and take a KO on that Palkia, but I don't think we can. We don't have any more damage modifiers here because we're more of a tanky build with a focus on draw. So, I think what we're going to do, we're going to bring up this Duraludon because it has a double turbo on it. I really don't want to get rid of this Kyurem right now. It would be really cool to keep it in the hand, but I think we should just G-Max Pulverization this this Palkia. I think that's the right play here. Because we can't knock it out. So we're going to Marnie. We're just going to Marnie my opponent. Hopefully get rid of some of their options here. There's that Hyper Potion. So that's good for next turn. We can get rid of that double turbo energy. We'll play this Tower of Darkness. Do we want to play that? I think so. Play the Tower of Darkness down. We'll just thin our hand a little bit. Yep. Now, do I want to play a double turbo down again? I don't think I do. I think we just go for the G-Max Pulverization. 200 damage, still solid. They can hit into us with Palkia. We'll heal all that damage with Hyper Potion and then KO it. if they don't want to retreat it, or they can retreat into the Kyurem and try and take a one-shot on us, but we can just hit into it again. I don't know if they can take a one-shot with Kyurem, considering they already used Star Portal. They might be able to if they can get 3 more energy this turn on it. It's possible, like it really is, but I don't know with the smaller hand that they have if they can do that right now. So we'll have to wait and see what my opponent decides to do. Finding the Goon and the Lumineon, bringing them back into the deck with Ordinary Rod. Interesting, interesting. That Lumineon is another good boss target later on down the line. We have 1 boss in deck and 1 in the prizes, I believe, from earlier. And that's an important card to check when you're playing Arceus Duraludon, is checking for your boss. Because having all 3 of them in deck, as opposed to only having 2 of them, is very, very crucial to how you play the game. So now they're playing down that Lumineon. They're going to find a probably just a simple draw card. They can't use Roxanne or anything right now, so I'm not expecting that to come out. But yeah, they're just going to go for a straight research to try and get their Kyurem down, or Kyurem online and running, I should say. They're going to Oranguru something they don't want to discard. Maybe now going for a Glaciated World to burn something or to actually get an energy onto a Kyurem. So they have 1 attachment. Going to research now, so they're going to draw into something new and different, getting rid of Kyurem V. Playing that Training Court, getting rid of our Tower of Darkness, which is a-okay with me. But they actually do need quite a lot here to knock out our Duraludon VMAX. Now the really good thing here would be if we drew into another Hyper Potion. We do have 2 more in the deck, so it's possible. If we drew into another one, we could actually heal most of the damage off this Duraludon, which would be really, really funny. Choice Belt coming out on the Kyurem. I don't think we've seen a Glaciated World just yet, but we have seen the Primate Wisdom, so they can't put that energy back on top. Now my opponent's going to have to be faced with a choice. Do they get smacked with the Palkia, or do they get smacked with the Dawn? That is the question of the day. They're going to switch into the Kyurem, so that's what they are going to go for, which is, hey, that's okay in my standards. I don't mind that at all. My opponent currently doing 300 damage, I believe, if my math is correct. No. 320? Or is it 330? It is 330. 350? Oh, man. Okay, well, my math was wrong, but that's okay. Because, hey, they don't really have a lot of energy going on right now. They can take their 3 prizes. We can bring up the Dawn here. And there's our boss. So we can take out... We can kind of just win the game here, actually. If we get boss off the prizes, we can win the game. So first off, we'll grab one of these back in our hand. So if we boss up Palkia, they don't really have an option to do damage. So we can boss that up, KO it, take 2 prizes. And then as long as we find our other boss, we can boss up the other one and take more prizes. However, I think we need to boss this up simply for the fact that we can find more prize cards and get rid of a way to accelerate energy. So that's what we're going to do. Bring up that Kyurem. We'll attach this double turbo because we're going to be doing 200 flat. That's more than enough. And then G-Max Pulverization. If we find the boss off of these prize cards, we basically win the game, I believe. There's our boss. Okay, so we have the game secured here. Unless we get like Marnie to Roxanne or something. They could very much do that, which would be tough, I will say. Which will be tough. But they're going to bring that Kyurem back up. I don't know if they can get a huge one-hit KO now, especially because they don't have Glaciated World access, like a second one. And we just have the boss's orders to win the game. So if they Roxanne us here or they Marnie us, I don't think we have game, but we might if we can find our other Hyper Potion. So it really depends what my opponent plays. Going to go for that Glaciated World, getting 1 energy on the Kyurem. They would actually need to be using Marnie to attack us, not Marnie, a Melanie to attack as well. They need to Melanie to the Kyurem, then attach from hand because they had no energy on it. So they have the attach from hand. Do they have that Melanie that they need to even put damage on our Dawn? Or are they just going to try and retreat? We'll see what they're going to do here. Maybe they're going to stall out for a turn. Going for an Ultra Ball. We'll see what they can find. If they have another Lumineon, maybe they can find something else to, what's it called? To find like a Roxanne or whatever they're looking for. But maybe they're just trying to thin out their deck. They're going to grab another Palkia VSTAR. So I think they're just trying to thin everything out. Let's take a peek at what they're going to do here. This could very much be the game, though. We don't know right now. I really won't say. They're going to play another Ultra Ball. They're really trying to thin down their hand and thin out their deck. right now. Like, they're really looking for something specific. They're gonna get rid of the boss. I mean, hey, it's not really useful right now, getting another Kyurem VMAX out of the deck, but their other Kyurems are in the discard, so that's okay with me. They're gonna concealed cards. They're really trying to draw into it. Let's see, can they find it? It's gonna be Melanie or it's gonna be Roxanne. Those are my two guesses here. They found that Melanie, so they're gonna bring energy onto this Kyurem to attack us. However, it won't matter. No Roxanne coming from my opponent. We can just boss's orders up their Palkia and take the dub this game. No KO, 300 damage. And I'm sorry, my friend. It was close. I will say it was close. It did come down to me finding that boss. That was literally what it came down to. But we were able to pull it off in the end, bossing up this Palkia and smacking it with G-Max Pulverization for the victory. Arceus Duraludon is a really strong deck right now. I really think so. And it can even beat top decks such as Palkia Kyurem. So what do you think of my Arceus Duraludon VMAX deck, my Arcdon deck? I think it's really strong. There's not a whole lot I want to change from this deck. I think that it's really good. You could change these out for some other stadiums such as Collapse Stadium or Crystal Cave to heal more. But with the 3 Hyper Potions, I really do think that you have enough healing options here. 3 Hyper Potions plus access to Starbirth. I think you can really do enough damage. Another card you might want to add another one of is Karen's Conviction, because Karen's Conviction can be very helpful 2 times during the game, such as as well as Boss. Boss is also really strong to use twice in a game because you can target down what you can KO. The boss is really what makes this deck super strong, but Karen can help you as well if your opponent's got a big VMAX like Kyurem in the active, or they got a slightly damaged Palkia in the active, and you need to use Karen to take that huge one-hit KO. You can do that as well. You might even consider adding a single strike energy in there. One single strike energy could make all the difference, because think about it, right? A single strike energy is going to make you do 240 damage. Your opponent knocks out an Arceus, you can play a Karen, you're going to be doing 280 damage, so you can actually one-shot a Pokemon V-Star. So that's an important thing to consider as well. If you can find room, maybe adding that single strike energy into the deck could be really good. The only thing is it can't be Starbirth accelerated, so you'd have to be kind of drawing to find it, which can change your game plan a little bit. But those are all of my recommendations for this deck, all the things that I would change, and I want to hear from you guys now. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below, what do you think of this Arceus Duraludon deck? What would you keep? What would you change? What do you like? What do you not like? And subscribe to the channel. I post 2 new Pokemon trading card game videos every single week, so stay tuned to the Hitmonchanting channel because I can guarantee that you don't want to miss it. And with all that said and done, Hitmonchanting out.